If I had to name one thing that I hate every single time that I go to a restaurant, with or without my children, is when I see other children with their face buried in a device. Now, I understand that it can be easier to just have your child behave by watching a movie on your phone or playing a game, or I honestly don't even know what toddlers do on cell phones and iPads, because I will never be that person to just give my child a device to make them shut up. All sassiness aside, it is so important for children to learn to be a part of society, meaning that they need to know how to go out to a restaurant, how to order, how to look at a waitress and say please and thank you, and how to engage in conversation instead of just staring at a device. There are so many things wrong with the world today, and teaching our children from a very young age how to associate with other people is at the very top of every parent's list, or at least it should be. So let's talk about some ways that you can get your child to behave in a restaurant or anywhere in public without giving them a screen to stare at. Number one is simply explaining to them what your expectations are of them when you are going into this said restaurant, store, whatever. I always had conversations with my kids before we went. I actually still do. My oldest is 11, and I still have conversations with them asking how I expect them to behave and how will they behave at whatever place we're going to. So having that conversation and asking them, how are you allowed to behave here? How can you, how should you, however you want to word it, how can you behave at this place? Asking your child to put into words how they can behave is extremely helpful, and especially having them elaborate on those things. So when I ask my kids, how do you behave at whatever restaurant, and they say good, I say, I want a little bit, go a little bit deeper. Tell me more. What does it mean to behave good? Calm, quiet, whatever, however they want to talk. The next thing that you can do is to choose a kid-friendly restaurant. The last thing that you want to do is to bring your child to an incredibly fancy place when they don't know how to behave in public yet. Now, I know maybe you might have a wedding or a fancy party or something to go to and you don't have another choice but to bring your kid. That's not what this video is about. This is when you are actually choosing to take your family out to go somewhere and you want to make sure your child is going to behave. You want to go somewhere like Red Robin, where it is loud inside, there's a lot of stuff to look at, and it's not going to be outlandish for a child to be in there. The next thing that you could do is pack an entertainment kit. So if you're familiar with my potty training process, I always have a potty bin for the children, and similar to that, we are going to have an entertainment bin. So something that you keep in the car that is full of activities that are new to your child, so not something that they play with every single day. Don't tell your child, hey, bring your favorite toy to play with at the restaurant. Have a bin full of things like those scratch off pads that, what are they called, like an Etch-a-Sketch or something like that, that they can draw on and keep themselves busy while they're waiting for their food. Now, of course, the restaurant will probably have like their own coloring paper, and that is great if that entertains your child. If not, have your own supplies to be able to pull out in time of need. The next thing that you can do is make sure you know what your child is going to order and that they are going to eat something at whatever restaurant you're going to. So that might mean looking at the menu online ahead of time and knowing, okay, they have like little kid-sized pizzas. We're going to order that, and we'll make sure that they are going to eat something and something when they get there. And it would be a bonus if you know what you want to eat, so that there isn't any lagging time where you have to tell your waitress, oh, we don't know what we want yet, please come back, or having them come back several times because you don't know what you want to eat. If you already know what you want to eat and you can put your order in very quickly, then obviously your food will be there sooner and your child will be occupied. The next tip is to keep your child engaged. If they don't really want to play with any of their toys, they don't want to color, they don't want to do any of that stuff, and you guys are still waiting for your food, you can play little games like I Spy, find something in the restaurant, and especially if you're at one of those places like Red Robin. I love Red Robin. But if you're at a place that has a lot of things to look at, I Spy will be a great game to keep your child occupied for quite a while. It's also important to teach your child from a very young age about table topic conversations. How was your day? What's your high? What's your low? Tell me about what friends you played with at school today. Whatever conversations you want to have, but involve your child in the conversations. So it's not just you and your partner having conversations with each other and trying to keep the kids quiet. It's involving the child and making this a whole family experience, because at the end of the day, why did you bring your kid instead of just getting a babysitter and going on a date night if you just wanted to go out with your partner? So involve your child, ask them questions, and have them lead conversation topics as well. The next tip is don't be afraid to get up and go out for a walk if you need to get your child a little bit of movement. If maybe the food is taking a long time, it's okay to have your partner stay at the table if maybe you have multiple kids, but if maybe one kid can stay at the table and they're occupied, the other kid is very wiggly and they need to just get up and go walk around, it's okay, especially if you need to go outside of the restaurant and have them run up and down the sidewalk a couple times, that's fine too. Play fun games like, can you do dinosaur marches? Can you do tippy toes? Can you spin as fast as you can? And do that outside of the restaurant so that your child is getting those wiggles out, because it can be very difficult. If you're going to be at a restaurant for an hour to 2 hours, it can be very difficult for your child to have to sit still that entire time confined to one small area. So don't be afraid to have to get up and take a walk, or even if it's just a quick trip to the bathroom, whatever it might be to get your kid a little bit of movement, that is perfectly fine as well. Now the next tip is one that I have had to employ in my day when my kids were younger, and it's knowing when to call it quits. It is okay if you've done all the things and your kid is just not having it and you need to leave the restaurant. That's okay. It's okay to say to your waitress or waiter, hey, we need to get this to go. Can we just get it boxed up real quick? My husband will stay here. I'm gonna take the kids. It's go time. We need to get the kids out of here. Really sorry, give them a nice tip, whatever it might be, but it is okay to call it quits. Now, this happened, I believe my kids ended up getting sick, but they were just very whiny. And to me, that was just something that I could not deal with. There was nothing I was doing was calming them down. And so we ended up, we hadn't even put in our orders yet. It was a very slow restaurant and we were just like at our wits' end, and we were like, you know what, never mind. I'm really sorry to have wasted your time, but we need to leave. This is not an ideal situation, but this is what we need to do right now. And nobody's gonna hold it against you. And to be quite honest, unless you know everybody in the restaurant, no one's gonna remember you as that family. It doesn't matter. So don't worry about what other people are doing or if they're looking at you. If you need to get up and go, it's fine. Some things for older kids that I like to tell them is how you behave right now tells me if we can do this again. And I use that phrase all the time, whether it's time to leave a playground, time to go to a restaurant, or whatever it might be. I will tell my children, and I still use this with them, how you behave now tells me if we can do this again. So I loved using this line when they were younger because it really resonated with them, and it really communicated to them that if you're not going to behave, we are not going to do this again. And there was one time at one specific playground, and I loved that playground, but I told them, if you are not going to behave when it's time to go, we are not going to come back, and we could never go back. Now it's okay because there are other playgrounds, but I had to stick to my word and make sure that if you are using that line, that you are actually telling them that if you're not going to go back, that you do not go back. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out other videos on my channel. I am a pediatric sleep consultant and potty training coach and mom of 3. I love uplifting other moms and dads and reassuring you that motherhood and fatherhood is a beautiful thing, even in the moments where it feels overwhelming and exhausting. So I hope you enjoyed this video and keep blooming. Mwah.